Okay. So today we're going to cover functional questions. Function questions, like inference questions, want you to say the meaning of a sentence, or they want you to know the meaning of a sarcasm, an irony, or maybe something like a proverb. They want you to know the meaning of something, maybe a sentence, or maybe the whole passage. Sometimes they want you to know the meaning of it in depth, not a superficial meaning, not a surface meaning. And that's it for the meaning of function questions. Now, if you want to recognize them, you have why does the professor say this, and what does the student mean when he says this? Again, it's like the meaning, right? When somebody asks you why does this person say this, it means that they want you to for the meaning of something. Or what does this person mean? It means that they want the meaning again, right? So that's the function question. Let's just go to the examples. You're going to get it more. So this is a script of one of the audios. It's a small script just for the sake of you getting to know this. So the female student says, "Oh, yes, and I have. You said that our artists had to work during the latter half of the 1800s or the earlier half of the 1900s, correct?" Professor says, "Yes, that is the period that Art History 305 focuses on." And the female student again says, "Well, then the one I have chosen fits the bill. His name was Francisco Soria Edo. He was active from around 1920 until his death in 1965. Before we jump to the question, I want you guys to comment what part should be the function question. What do you think? Like from what you've got from the function questions, from the definition, what part should ask about the function question? I see no one. Does anyone want to raise their hands, or maybe okay, you're saying A. There are no answers here. I'm just saying that from what you think about the function questions, what do you think that the question will be about? I believe that it should be something about a proverb, about something that doesn't look like a normal English. It should be something like that, because a function question is mostly that way. It asks you about a proverb, it asks you about the slang and the meaning of it. That's it. Okay, all right, it's fine. So the part is, let's go and see what it's asking about. The question is, what does the student mean when she says this? Well, then the one I have chosen fits the bill. This is not like a normal English, right? Because fits the bill, it doesn't mean the regular bill. Like it's not a check, it's not a bill, and fitting the bill, it's not like that. It's a slang, right? But you might not know this. Most of the times we don't know the exact proverb. But still, you might be able to get it from the passage. That's the beauty of TOEFL. Like you can get it from the passage, so don't worry. A, she knows that the artist was active during the correct time period. B, she is glad that she selected an artist that they covered in Art History 305. C, she understands why the artist's paintings are considered to be so valuable. And D, she thinks that the artist was not appreciated during his lifetime. I will take the slide back so you can look at it again and think which answer might be correct. All right, we have two Bs from two people. Is there anybody else who wants to say something? We have A and B, nothing else. You're amazing, you guys. Either A or B, but the thing is that for B, I have to say that, well, we're eliminating C and D, right? So if we're left with A and B, I have to say that for B, not really, because it says she's glad that she selected an artist that they covered in Art History 305. While in the passage, look, it's not what they covered in Art History 305. It was not a class. It's the period of time. Maybe when you're talking about the Stone Age, right? If you're talking about the Stone Age, it doesn't definitely mean that you had the subject of it, right? Look, it says, yes, that is the period that Art History 305 focuses on. It doesn't exactly mean that they have covered it and they have had the class about that. It's just that. And so A is the correct one. Now we're going to have another audio. I want you all to listen to it. Not another, I believe this is the first one, the first audio for tonight's session. I want you all to listen to it, and then after that, at the same time, jot everything down, take notes, and I will check them again, inshallah. And for the notes that I have seen from you guys about this one, I don't think they're really good, because most of you still write all the words, everything, like even the sentences. When I checked them, I saw that some people write sentences. Don't write sentences, don't write prepositions, don't write anything unnecessary. Just write the necessary words, and not even them in vowels. Write them in consonants. Just write everything down. And by everything, I don't mean the vowels. Don't write those. And now listen to the first one, and then we're going to delve into the questions. Okay, there's a question. Somebody asked, what should we write? We've actually covered that in a video. I don't know if you've seen that or not, but there's a video in the Telegram channel. I'll try to make another video this week, inshallah. If I could, I will do it tomorrow. Because I want you guys to know how to take notes, and the tips that you have to follow is that, first off, don't write sentences. Even don't write complete words. Write only consonants. That's it. Consonants. And just sometimes write vowels. That's the best one, the best tip I can give you. And then after that, we can talk about other stuff as well, okay? So now please listen.
Now listen to the lecture.
In order to meet the food needs of both the present and the future generations without depleting our natural resources, sustainable agriculture strives to create a reliable and resilient food system. There has never been a greater pressing need for sustainable agriculture as population expansion and climate change worsen. Let's start by talking about the two main tenets of sustainable agriculture: economic viability and environmental stewardship. Economic viability is crucial, since farmers can only adopt sustainable techniques if farming is profitable. Environmental stewardship underscores how crucial it is to protect and improve our natural resources. Crop rotation, agroforestry, and integrated pest control are just a few of the sustainable methods that are included in the regenerative agriculture method. Together, these techniques improve soil quality, capture carbon, and boost biodiversity on the farm. Regenerative agriculture emphasizes the long-term health of the land rather than merely short-term income, which is a key benefit. In fact, studies have shown that it will ultimately be more profitable. But even with all of sustainable agriculture's advantages, there are still issues that need to be resolved. The transition to sustainable methods calls for investment, research, and extensive farmer education. Additionally, it's critical to keep in mind that transformation is a gradual process and cannot happen quickly. We need coordinated efforts from the government, business, and public to increase demand for sustainable products and facilitate the transition in order to succeed in sustainable agriculture. Utilizing certification programs such as the Fair Trade Certification or organic labeling is one approach to support sustainable agriculture. These accreditations can encourage sustainable farming methods and assist consumers in making informed decisions. Consumers must be conscious of the effects of their purchases and support farmers that are attempting to create a more sustainable food system.
Coming back to the questions, we got the audio. I think it was an easy audio for all of you. But before we go into the questions, there is a question here from Tuba Yusufi. She says, is it possible to tell us the correct way of taking notes? For taking notes, I have to tell you this, and you have to admit this thing, that there is no correct way of taking notes. That's the thing in all the listening, taking notes techniques. Because what we mean here is that everyone has their own note-taking strategies. Everyone has that exact unique way, and that unique way works for them. Sometimes, well, for me, I have found the way that I have found, I give tips about them, but I don't know what will work for you. Like, some people don't even want to take notes, and they're still okay with it. Like, they can answer everything, all the questions, just because they can have everything on their minds, but I can't. Or even if I don't take notes, I might just get distracted. I won't be able to listen to it that attentively. And taking notes helped me a lot. But for some people, if they take notes, that distracts them. And so because of that, I can say that everyone has their own strategies and their own ways. And for some other people, like, I have to write everything down. Like, you've seen it maybe in that video, or if you haven't, you might have to check it out. Well, for me, it's that way. I have to write everything down. But for some people, they just have to write one word per whole paragraph, maybe. Instead of maybe all the certification schemes that we had for this audio, they just write one word, and that word may help them. I don't understand how they can do it, but for some people, it helps that way. So I believe that you should stick to your own schedule, your own note-taking strategies, but see if it does not work for you, then you have to change it. And if it does work for you, you can tell me that this way works for me. So I'll just keep on doing this one. And any video about note-taking strategies in Telegram, well, yeah, there is a video I have uploaded. I will upload more videos for that one. I believe I couldn't, have it as like a file, and I couldn't upload the links, so it was a little, messy in the PowerPoint, but I believe I should have it as a media file the next time I upload it, because that'll be easier and you can have all of it in just one file, right? We will have more tips and try to see what way works for you the best, okay? Try to figure that out. You have to figure that out on your own. Now, coming to the question, what is the main idea of the lecture? A, the advantages of regenerative agriculture. B, the role of certification schemes in sustainable agriculture. C, the importance of consumer choices. D, the concept and importance of sustainable agriculture. We have B, D, C, but we have more of D. Yeah, D is the correct answer. I think we don't have to elaborate on this because the other ones are quite specific. Now about the second one, here we have another audio. What did the professor mean when he said this, or when this was said? So again, you have to listen to an audio. I would like to listen. I would like all of you to listen to this attentively.
Regenerative agriculture emphasizes the long-term health of the land rather than merely short-term income, which is a key benefit.
And that was the audio. You can only hear it once. What did the professor mean when this was said? A, regenerative agriculture is more profitable than conventional agriculture. B, regenerative agriculture prioritizes long-term benefits over immediate gains. C, regenerative agriculture is a quick solution to the challenges of conventional agriculture. D, short-term profits are irrelevant to regenerative agriculture. Again, such an easy question. Yeah, B is the correct one. Now, number 3. Why does the professor say this? Again, there is an audio. Again, you have to listen to it. Again, it should be attentively, and it should be just once. So I'm going to play it in 3, 2, 1.
It's critical to keep in mind that transformation is a gradual process and cannot happen quickly.
Okay, that was a good one. Now, why does the professor say this? A, to emphasize the need for patience in transitioning to sustainable agriculture. B, to remind students that sustainable agriculture is a long-term solution. C, to discourage students from pursuing careers in sustainable agriculture. D, to highlight the need for immediate action to promote sustainable agriculture. That's great of all of you. Yes, A is the correct answer. A is correct. And this is the script from the audio. If you want to, you can go through it, but I don't think there would be a need. I don't think there is. Now we will have another audio again. Have your registers ready, and we're going to play it. Okay. In 3, 2, and 1.
Now listen to the lecture.
We shall examine the intriguing development of human language.
Now listen to the lecture.
We shall examine the intriguing development of human language. Although our knowledge of this complicated subject is still developing, we have learned a lot about how languages have changed and diversified over time. There is ongoing discussion regarding the origins of human language. While some experts contend that speech developed independently of language, others contend that speech developed from gestures. The natural world provides evidence for this argument, as certain animals communicate using vocalizations and gestures, indicating that one or both of these communication methods may have contributed to the development of language. The demand for effective communication increased as human cultures expanded. Humans started making more complex tools and participating in intricate social activities around 50,000 years ago, which required the use of increasingly sophisticated language. Our ancestors probably began using abstract symbols during this time, enabling them to communicate feelings, discuss abstract ideas, and tell stories. These ancient tongues served as the forerunners of the contemporary linguistic diversity we now observe. The development of language was further influenced by advances in agriculture. As farming techniques developed, human populations grew more established and regional dialects began to take shape. These dialects subsequently split and developed into separate languages. Physical barriers like mountains and oceans that divided communities from one another frequently sparked this diversity. The development of languages has also been significantly influenced by historical occurrences. Languages were merged and words, grammar, and phonetics were borrowed as a result of massive migrations and trade networks. For instance, despite being a Germanic language, English has incorporated several words from Latin and French. It's obvious that technology is rapidly altering how we communicate in the modern world. Emojis, internet slang, and truncated text are some of the new language phenomena that have emerged in the digital age. We should continue to be interested in language's growth as it adapts and changes in the future.
This is the first question. Again, what is the main idea of the lecture? A, the origins of human language can be traced back to gestures. B, advancements in agriculture led to the diversification of languages. C, large-scale migrations resulted in language blending. And D, the evolution of human language has been influenced by different factors. All right, we have D, A, and B. All of them are great. So C is not there. Large-scale migrations resulted in language blending. Yeah, I mean, that's good, but still we can't have it as the main idea. We had lesser of B then. Advancements in agriculture led to the diversification of languages. Again, too specific. So we're left with A and D. Actually, both look quite good, but the thing is that the whole idea of the lecture, the main idea of the whole lecture was D. The evolution of human language has been influenced by different factors. That's it. And she talked, I think it was he talked about different factors that affected how the human language has evolved, right? Then the second question is, in the lecture, the professor implies that A, language diversity will eventually decrease. This is the implication. This is not about what the professor says exactly. It's what he thought. Like, what do you think that he thought? What do you think his stance was? What did he want to prove? That's it. A, language diversity will eventually decrease. B, the development of modern languages took place rapidly. C, there is still much to learn about the origins of language. D, internet slang is a less sophisticated form of communication. Okay, so no one thinks A or D. Everyone thinks either B or C, right? So no one thinks that language diversity will eventually decrease. Okay, that's good. And D, internet slang, again, yeah, that's right. We're left with B and C, but the thing is that C doesn't look like a potential correct answer either. Wait, sorry, not C, B. The development of modern languages took place rapidly. If you say B is correct, I believe that it's like you didn't get the whole idea of the conversation, the lecture it was, not the conversation. He literally said that it's from the time, I don't know what he said exactly, but he said that it started from gestures and came to this and this and this. So he said that it took like centuries for the modern languages to be this way, for the modern languages to be developed, So it's not that it took place rapidly. It was actually quite slowly. So C is the correct answer, and it was really obvious. There's still much to learn about the origins of language. He actually implied something about this at the end. Number 4, what does the professor mean when this was said? For instance, despite being a Germanic language, English has incorporated several words from Latin and French. A, English is a unique language with a diverse vocabulary. B, language borrowing is a widespread phenomenon. C, the English language has lost its original roots. D, Latin and French have a dominant influence on English. Okay, here everyone says D. Some people say A. Okay, well, so nobody thinks B or C. Fine. About D, I have to tell you this. Well, let's go from A. Let's start from A. English is a unique language with a diverse vocabulary. That was definitely not implied because, well, he didn't say something like that. He said that despite being a Germanic language, English has incorporated several words from Latin and French. Then let's go to D, that you guys think Latin and French have a dominant influence on English. Well, I know it might be an implication a little bit, but it's not the whole reason the professor talked about this. Because she said, for instance, it means that she wanted to talk about something else, and then she gave the example of this exact part. So it's not D either. It's either B or C. Let's go to C. The English language has lost its original roots, and B, language borrowing is a widespread phenomenon. What do you think now? I think we only had one B before, Medina Amini. And yes, B is correct. Language borrowing is a widespread phenomenon because she was talking about the way languages get, mixed into each other. They get merged into each other, and then they borrow language. They borrow some words from each other. And so B is the correct answer. She gave the instance because of that. Now, the next question is this. Why does the professor mention that certain animals use vocalizations and gestures to communicate? A, to argue that language arose from gestures. B, to show that communication can take different forms. C, to indicate that animals have their own languages. D, to prove that speech developed independently. That's great. Everyone says B. Just some people say D or C. Yeah. We have one person saying C as well, but the one that you say, that's the correct answer. To show that communication can take different forms, this is the correct one. And now we go to the next audio. Again, get prepared, get ready, and I will play it. All right. So let's go. In 3.
Now listen to the lecture.
Venus has long captivated both scientists and the general public because it is our neighboring planet. Today we'll explore how this fascinating universe came to be, as well as some of its unique features. The solar nebula, a cloud of gas and dust that existed about 4.6 billion years ago, can be used to determine the beginnings of Venus, as with all the other planets in our solar system. The Sun and the planets that orbit it were formed throughout time from this solar nebula. Venus, the second planet from the Sun, was finally created as a result of gravitational forces and particle collisions. Let's now concentrate on some distinctive qualities of Venus. Venus is only a little smaller than Earth in size, having a diameter of 12,104 kilometers. It has a cloud cover of sulfuric acid droplets and a dense atmosphere primarily made of carbon dioxide. The surface of the planet is mostly flat, made up of volcanic plains with a few mountainous areas and impact craters strewn around. Despite having a comparable size, mass, and composition to Earth, Venus is frequently referred to as Earth's twin, despite having a vastly different environment and climate. Venus's rotation is one of its most noticeable features. Venus rotates on its axis in a retrograde motion, which means it spins against the direction of its orbit around the Sun, unlike Earth and the majority of other planets. A Venetian day is longer than its year, which lasts around 225 Earth days, as a complete rotation takes about 243 Earth days. Although the precise reason for Venus's unusual rotation is still unknown, some scientists think that a large collision in the past may have played a role. Venus is quite hot, which is another feature worth mentioning. Venus is the hottest planet in our solar system, hotter even than Mercury, which is closest to the Sun. With surface temperatures that average approximately 900 degrees Fahrenheit, 475 degrees Celsius. The dense carbon dioxide atmosphere's greenhouse effect, which traps the sun's heat, is the main source of this high temperature. This information serves as a sobering reminder of the possible repercussions of unchecked greenhouse gas emissions to us here on Earth. Venus has 90 times more atmospheric pressure than Earth. in addition to being extremely hot. This extreme pressure is comparable to the pressure that exists around 3,000 feet, 914 meters, beneath the surface of the Earth's oceans. The combination of tremendous pressure and temperature on Venus's surface make it a very hostile environment. Let's now quickly go through several characteristics Venus does not share with Earth. First, Venus is assumed to lack a worldwide magnetic field because of its sluggish rotation and potentially an iron core structure. Second, Venus does not appear to have plate tectonics, perhaps as a result of its thick crust and high surface temperature. Venus is a fascinating planet that provides important information on how planets in our solar system create and develop. We can uncover Venus's enigmatic past and acquire valuable lessons that apply to our own world by comprehending the peculiar features of the planet, such as its retrograde rotation and severe environment.
Going back to the questions. Now, before we go to the questions, let's have a little bit of a talk about this. This audio, if you've noticed, it has lots of numbers, right? But the thing is that when you want to take notes in the listening session, don't write the numbers too much. Like the years, you won't have the years question. You won't have the the depth that it had from the ocean. It was 3,000 something. Like the pressure, it said that the pressure that's under the ocean and that depth on Earth is like the ocean on the surface of Venus. It's just that it wants you to it wants to show you how the pressure and the temperature work there, how they are in there, and they just want you to know, and they just want you to be able to measure between them and compare between them. That's it, nothing else. So don't write down any of those. Don't write down the numbers. Well, it depends. If some of the times maybe you have 2 or 3 numbers, it says that this exact thing is maybe it's divided into 3 sections or 3 parts. Then you can write that number. But if it's a pressure, if it's a year, don't write that. It's not important. And don't focus on that. Instead of that, write something else. Write what happened exactly on that date, or what is it. Like you might have the question, is the pressure higher in Venus or on Earth? You might have this question, but you might not have the question, how much is the temperature related to the Earth, or something like that related to numbers. Now, the first question is, what is the main idea of the lecture? A, the similarities between Earth and Venus. B, the solar nebula and the formation of the solar system. C, the extreme conditions on on Venus. D, the origins and characteristics of Venus. Yes, that's great. What do you think about A or B, maybe? Why do you not think that it's A or B? If anyone wants to talk, they can raise their hands. Yes, Medina, please.
Hello, teacher. Good
Hello.
evening. Well, the A is incorrect because we also talked about the differences between the Earth and Venus, and it was not talking only about the similarities.
Yes, exactly. Thank you so much. Yes, that was it. So D is the correct answer. Yeah, the origins and characteristics of Venus. The next audio, again, it's a part of this exact passage. I want you to listen to it. But before that, it says that, what does the professor mean when this was said? So again, please listen attentively.
This information serves as a sobering reminder of the possible repercussions of unchecked greenhouse gas emissions to us here on Earth.
What was the meaning of this? A, Venus and Earth will eventually merge. B, Earth might become like Venus if we don't control greenhouse gas emissions. C, the greenhouse effect on Venus is beneficial. D, the atmosphere of Venus is composed entirely of greenhouse gases. Everyone is saying B. Only 1% says D, which, yeah, that answer is not right. B is the correct answer. Earth might become like Venus if we don't control greenhouse gas emissions. The next question, why does the professor mention that Venus has no global magnetic field and no evidence of plate tectonics? Why does the professor mention that? A, to emphasize that Venus is entirely different from Earth. B, to highlight some features that Venus does not share with Earth. C, to suggest that Venus is incapable of supporting life. D, to argue that Venus is an uninteresting planet. B, correct. Yeah. The next one, why does the professor say this again? About this, that I'm not playing it from PowerPoint. The problem is that when you play it from PowerPoint, you won't be able to listen to the audio. So I'm just playing it from there, okay? Now listen in 3, 2, 1.
We can uncover Venus's enigmatic past and acquire valuable lessons that apply to our own world by comprehending the peculiar features of the planet, such as its retrograde rotation and severe environment.
Do you want me to play this again? Anyone? Okay. Yeah, all right.
We can uncover Venus's enigmatic past and acquire valuable lessons that apply to our own world by comprehending the peculiar features of the planet, such as its retrograde rotation and severe environment.
That was it. Now the question is this. Why does the professor say that? A, to connect the importance of studying Venus to the broader context of understanding planetary evolution. B, to suggest that understanding Venus is essential to predicting Earth's future. C, to emphasize the need for more research on Venus's rotation. D, to argue that Venus should be the primary focus of planetary research. Everyone thinks B is correct. And yes, that's correct. To suggest that understanding Venus is essential to predicting Earth's future. That's right. The next question, which of the following are characteristics of Venus? Choose all of them. A, retrograde rotation. B, no global magnetic field. C, thick carbon dioxide atmosphere. D, plate tectonics. E, high surface temperature. I want you to do this. Don't write all the answers that you think that they're correct. I will ask you A, retrograde rotation. If you think that it is a characteristic of Venus, then write Y, like yes. If you don't think that it is a part of it, then write no, or you can just say N, Y or N, okay? So let's start with A. Retrograde rotation. Was it a part of a characteristic of Venus? Okay, that's good. Yes. But some people say no. I don't know why. Mashgan Rastagar says no. It's actually yes, not no, because it has a retrograde rotation opposite to the Earth, right? The Earth has a non-retrograde rotation, but the Venus is different. B, no global magnetic field. What about that? Yes or no? That's great. Yes. C, thick carbon dioxide atmosphere. What about this one? Do you think it's a yes? Yeah, that's right. D, plate tectonics. Yes or no? No, that's right. And E, high surface temperature. What about that one? Yeah, that's completely correct. These were the correct answers. Now let's go to the next audio again. Again, I'll play it. Take your notes. And I'll play it. So, in 3, 2, and 1.
All right. So we've been diving into animal cognition. You know, figuring out how smart animals are. A lot of this research seems to be about finding animal versions, or maybe parallels, to how humans think. And one of the things we've been looking at is metacognition. Exactly! So what exactly is metacognition? Well, it's basically being aware of what you know or feel, kind of having a sense of your own mind, and then using that knowledge to decide how to act. Scientists have always wondered if animals can do this, but the problem was, animals can't exactly tell us their feelings. But recently, a group of researchers figured out a way around that. They did studies with monkeys and dolphins that suggest these animals might be able to feel unsure about something and even know when they're unsure.
Interesting. So how'd they figure this out?
Well, it all started with a study on a dolphin who knew a specific high-pitched sound. They trained the dolphin to press a certain paddle when it heard that sound, and a different paddle for a lower tone. The dolphin got a treat for picking right, but if it picked wrong, it had to wait a while before trying again. The difficulty changed depending on the pitch of the second sound. The closer it was to the first one, the harder it was for the dolphin to tell them apart. The scientists noticed that the dolphin was quick to pick when it was sure, but hesitated on the tougher trials.
Okay, that's interesting.
Then, the researcher added a third option, a new paddle that would start a new round. This gave the dolphin a choice to skip the hard trials. Once the dolphin figured out what this new paddle did, it used it a lot when things got tough. The scientists thought this meant the dolphin wanted to skip because it didn't know the answer and knew it didn't know.
But hold on, what if...
Ah, yes, there was a catch. Other researchers argued that the skip response was just a learned behavior. Remember the intro to psychology? Basically, by pressing the skip paddle, the dolphin avoided waiting and got another shot at a treat faster. So the experiment didn't necessarily mean the dolphin knew it was unsure, just that it wanted to avoid getting in trouble.
That makes sense.
Exactly. So, more recently, this same researcher and his team created a new study, this time with monkeys. In this experiment, the monkeys had to identify patterns on a screen. These patterns were kind of like the sounds in the dolphin study. There was one clear pattern they called dense, and another that could vary in density but was always less dense. The monkeys had to call this second one sparse. The denser this second pattern was, the harder it became to tell it apart from the first one. And just like before, the monkeys got a third option to skip to a new round. But unlike the dolphin experiment, the monkeys had to do 4 rounds before they got any feedback. They didn't know if they were right or wrong after each round because they didn't get a reward or punishment. At the end of the 4 rounds, they got feedback, food for right answers, and a timeout with a buzzer for wrong ones. But here's the key. They didn't get anything for choosing the skip option, the uncertainty response. And yet, they still chose it more often when things were difficult. This suggests it wasn't just a learned behavior because skipping didn't guarantee a faster reward.
So what does this all mean for animal consciousness? You know, them being aware of themselves and their minds? Can we really know for sure what animals are thinking?
No, not really. But studying how animals think about their own thinking could be a big help in understanding the similarities and differences between our minds and theirs.
That was such an interesting topic. Now the question arises, what is the primary focus of the lecture? A, distinguishing cognition from metacognition. B, a study indicating dolphins' lower cognitive capacity compared to monkeys. C, evaluating food rewards in monkey experiments. D, research on animals' awareness of uncertainty. D is the correct answer. D is right, yes. Thank you. The next question is, what can be deduced from the monkey study without immediate feedback, as discussed in the lecture? What can be deduced from it? Like, this is like an inference question. What can be implied or what can be inferred? Deduce means the same thing. A, the study's hypothesis was flawed according to the researchers. B, negative reinforcement is most effective for monkeys. C, lack of rewards leads to confusion in monkeys. D, monkeys likely possess a certain level of metacognitive capacity. Anyone who wants to say about this? Medina Amini thinks D is correct. What about others? Okay, Hidayatullah Shirzai. D, D, C. Great. B. Wow. All right, I believe that A and B, these two are not really the potential answers. So we're left with C and D, as you all have mentioned as well. Lack of rewards leads to confusion in monkeys, and monkeys likely possess a certain level of metacognitive capacity. So if you look at it from the teacher's perspective, the teacher wasn't sure about this either. If you remember, she didn't think that it leads to confusion. She was like, well, it does have a little bit like a level, an extent of metacognitive capacity, but she wasn't sure about if it's making a confusion in monkeys or not. So I believe that D is a better choice than C, but still here. Sometimes C can look better, but for this one, I believe D is the better answer. C was good as well. And the last question for tonight's session. What does the professor mean when he says this? Oh, wait, the audio. Oh, I have lost the audio. Okay, I'm so sorry about this. It's fine. And suppose it has finished and that was it for tonight's session. If you have any question, please go ahead and ask me your questions. Because that exact audio, I don't remember which part it was, so I can't say it. Habibullah Mudassir, I don't get what exactly you mean. Could you please elaborate on it? Habibullah Mudassir. All right. Mushgan Rastagar. Okay, before Mushgan Rastagar, I'm so sorry about you. Habibullah Mudassir, no, I am sure about it. I was just saying that C looks a good answer as well. Like, it's not something that's completely wrong. It's right to some extent, maybe 70% or 80%, but I am sure D is the correct answer. D is. Okay. And now, Mushgan, please go ahead.
Can you hear me, dear teacher?
Yes, please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum to you and everyone who joined us in tonight's session. Just I have a question out of the tonight's session. A general question from you, teacher, that mostly we have challenges. We are struggling to know the pronunciation of native speakers. So would you please share some tips and tricks how to understand the native speaker pronunciation while they're talking regarding a specific topic or issue? Mostly they do not pronounce each word or each single word separately, and they just try to connect the words. But there might be some tips or tricks to know them better, and if you could share some tips and tricks, it would be grateful.
Yeah, sure. Yes, of course. Well, I have to ask you a question first about this, about your native language, as I have already asked somebody else about this question. Suppose, like, assume English as your own native language. What would you think about it? Because it's also a language. Your language is a language. That language is a language. It means that whenever you listen to it, you will get it. Like if you have lots of practice in listening, you'll eventually get it. It's gonna be fine. Because I believe, like for me, if I talk about myself, maybe 7 years ago, I couldn't understand a single sentence in English when a native speaker would talk. But now I can understand Scottish English. Like Scottish English is the English that native speakers can't understand it. It's just the matter of time that you put in for listening to a language, okay? So because of that, you have to first go for a little bit of an easier type of video. Listen to an easier video or watching series. Please go for watching series. I don't know why, but the thing with us Afghans are that we don't watch any English series or any other language. Like for me, if I want to learn a language, I don't join any course whatsoever. I just start watching some series, some drama, some videos in that exact language, and that's how I learn it. I can get all the pronunciation, I can get the accent as well. Like I know Turkish and Spanish, and my pronunciation and accent is like as if I'm a native speaker, and it's just because I listened to it, and the first time that I listened to it from a native speaker. I know it might be hard for you at the start because when you listen to it, it's a whole sentence and they merge everything together. But when time passes, the thing is that the development, the progress that you're gonna have is unmatched. Okay, so please go ahead with watching some videos. If you want to, you can start watching videos from Darman. I will write it. I'm writing it in the comment section. Darman has lots of YouTube videos. They're small, like short videos, like 15 minutes to 20 minutes. Start by watching those. Then go for watching series, but not movies. If I should tell you this, movies actually they're a little. I don't know. They make you confused. For me, it was that way. When I started watching movies, I didn't have anyone who would advise me this. In the movies, they don't talk that loudly, and we might think that, oh God, maybe the native speakers do talk this way, but they don't. The native speakers talk like the way they talk in the series. And so don't go for the movies first. Start watching Friends first off, because it's a 90s series, and well, the English has changed a little bit since that time, but still you can get it because that one was that's an easier language, an easier English. You can understand it easily. When you learn this, then you can go ahead and watch some other type of series and it's going to be fine. Okay, any other question?
Thank you so much. Thank you so
A
much,
pleasure.
teacher. You mean that practice makes it perfect, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And if there is no other question, Habibullah Mudassir, I hope you do not mind. About what? No, I don't mind. Come on. Just share whatever your thought is, whatever you're thinking, just share them with me and tell me. And if you have any suggestion, maybe, I mean, no one is perfect, right? I want suggestions and I want to work on them. You can go ahead on them. You can still reach out on Telegram. And I should try my best to be available this week, inshallah, from now on, because I had a really busy week, the last one. But I will be available this week, inshallah. So there is no question, then thank you so much and have a good one.